1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
My name is Patrick Bartley. I'm a saxophonist from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My main work has been in jazz. My biggest passion has been playing the music of Japanese video game, anime, and pop music. I would say the first system that I actually had on myself was a Sony PlayStation. So I played like Spyro the Dragon was like my first game. But I also had the privilege of being around a lot of different other systems because of, family members and friends.
What?
Some of the titles that really stuck out to me, Sonic the Hedgehog was probably just like the bread and butter. A good model of what music and visuals and stuff could be. So I would think Sonic, Streets of Rage, Gran Turismo was big for me. Tekken, I played a lot of Tekken 2. That was my first fighting game ever. Played some Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. A lot of those games were big part of me.
Whoa, you can't get a shot at me getting beat by computer.
Video games are kind of a big part of me getting into music. When I was learning clarinet, I would, in addition to learning whatever they were teaching me, I also wanted to learn these songs that I was hearing that was affecting me. So I would learn Sonic the Hedgehog, Green Hill Zone, or put it in the background while it's running, just like play my clarinet along to it, try to figure out the notes. Whatever 7 notes I knew on the clarinet, let's try to use those to learn that music. At the same time I was playing video games, I was also watching anime, so things like Dragon Ball Z. So I ended up learning a bunch of anime tunes, I learned a bunch of video game tunes, and that was a big deal for me because I was like, even though it's still just a hobby, I'm seriously playing this music. Like I'm actually taking some time to what I learned on the saxophone and bringing that to this music for people to listen to.
Come on now, how y'all doing, Black Cat?
And so that was the first kind of aha moment I think I had in my head of, wow, I get to express myself doing this. People like to listen to jazz because either it makes them feel sophisticated, some people say it makes them feel chill, a good mood, or it's expressive and it's individual. But then you put it with the music that they grew up with, like today's Cole Porter, like our George Gershwin, our Jerome Kern, like these are the new standards and everybody knows this music. So when they hear Super Mario Brothers ground theme, but then you have like saxophones and bass and drums and live music, like improvising over chord changes, making new melodies over these songs that have melodies that are seen as immortal, and you're making new immortal melodies on your own. It's really crazy, and so people really wanted to see that, and that's when we knew that we had something, not just our personal expression that we wanted to do, but also something that was kind of essential for everybody else to also see.
We are celebrating, of course, the ultimate fighters, like the greatest fighting games in history, and the respective soundtracks that also have a fighting chance of being some of the greatest music of all time.
First song that we played was a song by Yu Miyake, who is one of the composers for Tekken 4. And the song was called Bit Crusher.
Fight.
The next one is a little lesser known. It's called Darkstalkers, and that song was called Green Screen, which is the stage for 2 characters, Rikuo, otherwise known as Allbath, and Sasquatch. Third song is actually from one of my favorite games of all time, and it has one of my favorite soundtracks from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I love it because this song called Clock Tower Stage is a very identifiable song from it. It has a nice simple melody that's reminiscent of certain other George Gershwin type melodies or any jazz melodies. Doom 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 dee doo 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 dee doo. It has this nice melody you can identify, you can attach yourself to. The next song is also from the lexicon of like the old Street Fighter and Darkstalkers kind of franchises. But this is from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and it's one of the greatest games and one of the greatest soundtracks that we know of all time. Tetsuya Shibata also did this one, And this is called Jazzy NYC 99. I personally think this is probably the best way to get the most amount of young people into jazz as possible. A lot of people can find parallels between the world of video game music and jazz by that kind of personal expression, that kind of individual expression, the same kind of expression that you would have by creating a character in World of Warcraft or creating a character in Soul Calibur or Final Fantasy. You can have that same feeling by creating your own character in the music. That's really cool for me in any kind of way, whether it's a simple fighting game or if it's a role-playing game. You know, these games mean a lot to us and they've done a lot for us in our lives. My takeaway from those games was being able to create a story, create a world, create an ethos around what I'm doing and expressing myself in that way. I wanted to find out what was this thing that meant so much to me and how it can affect other people. What is this positive source of energy? And video games really gave me a really positive source of energy, and I always wanted to have that feeling.